Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chocolate Dinosaur Podcast Episode 2. To start, I guess I should explain the title. It is a very quickly, not very thought through, Smosh reference, if you know of them or if you are subscribed to them. Anyways, they made a video playing Gartic Phone, that game where you like draw stuff and then say what it is and then the next person draws or whatever. Anyways, they made a video doing that. And one of the prompts was chocolate dinosaur. Like one of the things that one of the people put was chocolate dinosaur, I'm pretty sure. And it just made me giggle. That whole segment, the whole video made me laugh, but the whole segment about dinosaurs, and then they had the moment that came after it. I don't want to get like in trouble with YouTube, but anyway, they had like a T-Rex telling you to kill yourself, like pointed at you. It sounds morbid, I guess, if that's not your type of humor, but it made me laugh. And then they had like a face on drawing, like a head on drawing of a T-Rex, and it just looked really funny. Anyways, so that's kind of the origin of the name, because I couldn't name my pod like T-Rex KYS, you know what I mean? Obviously. And to be frank, like I'm a nerd, and I think dinosaurs are so cool, so epic. Their stories are just incredible, and like the lore is cool. I think dinosaurs are sick as heck, and also big fan of chocolate. So I guess it works on multiple levels. I do enjoy some chocolate, and I do enjoy some dinosaurs, and it's a reference to a video that I really enjoyed and a channel that I've loved for years now. I started watching Smosh when I was in middle school, I'm pretty sure, so, yeah. Anyways, that aside, I had a few topics that I wanted to talk about today, based off of like things that I was rambling to myself about earlier. So I guess we'll just go ahead and dive in, because I could talk more about Smosh, but I don't necessarily need to, and I don't think you guys care. So I have on my list of topics, firstly, college and school life and the various struggles of all of that. And this is something I could talk about for probably a while, but this is what I was rambling to myself about basically. It's just different stuff related to my college experience thus far. So I went to a design college, a design and art college, briefly. So as I said in the first episode, I'm from Indiana. This college was in Ohio, and it was the first time that I lived that far away from family, namely my mom, because we've always lived together, obviously, and we currently do. And it's just us now, so I especially now couldn't see myself living that far away from her. But anyways, yeah, it was the furthest I had been, and I was living with 2 roommates, in an apartment. The apartment was pretty chill. It was fine. I enjoyed it. It was nice. And my cat, which might be a subject that I'll get into later as well. and the roommates were chill. They were fine. We had a little bit of issues here and there, but overall it was really fine. And so basically I moved there the second to last week of August 2023, and I moved back home at the beginning of November 2023. So I was not there very long at all. I didn't even finish my first round of classes. But I was already at risk of being kicked out of the program because of all of my absences. So with that in mind, and the fact that I was just insanely depressed, and really struggling to function, I decided that it would be best to leave. But there's a ton to say about my college experience. Like, I loved so many of the people that I went to school with, and so many of the people that I had class with and that I interacted with on a daily basis. Like, I had a little friend group, basically, that we had most of our classes together, so we talked and hung out quite often. It wasn't like a deep hangouts. We didn't have like a lot of like deep chats or whatever. It was more school friends, and that's kind of what a lot of the relationships were, because that's what it was, you know. Everyone was a school friend, because the only people I knew in that town, in that state, were people that I was currently in school with. So all of my friends at that time were school friends, which is not a bad thing. It's just like, it's sometimes hard to get on like a deeper level with people, instead of just like staying on like a surface level the whole time. I think if I would have stayed there by this point in time, we would have been on that deeper level, I like to think. But yeah, I still love them all dearly, and I cherish so many moments and so many memories from that short period of time. I went to see the FNAF movie with a couple of friends, and I wore like Foxy ears. If you don't know what that is, it's Five Nights at Freddy's horror video games that got turned into a movie recently, and they have a second one coming out this year, I believe, in December, which I'm very excited for. But anyways, like, we did that for Halloween 2023. I used to take one of my friends to class each morning, and we'd drive through Burger King and get hash browns and coffee, and I loved it so much because most days I did not want to get out of bed. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. Like I said, I was so depressed and struggling so much with just normal everyday life functions. And I was so stressed and so overwhelmed. And I'll get into that as well in just a moment, but I'm like giving some like memory examples currently. So yeah, that kind of got me out of bed each morning to be able to do that and to be able to take her to class. It got me, you know, up and moving a little bit. Especially as time went on, I just wore my pajamas and slipped on some shoes, took her to class, and then went back home and got back in bed. But you know, at least I got out of bed for a little bit, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, that was a really hard period of my life because I did have a lot of positive memories and a lot of positive interactions and moments with people, but it was obviously plagued by huge life changes and a lot of struggling and a lot of being pressed, honestly. And school itself is kind of hard for me. It always has been. I mean, maybe not always. In elementary school, I did perfectly fine, but that's because I was like, this is all so easy. And then it suddenly stopped being easy. And then it became super hard for me. I guess it wasn't all easy. That's kind of a generalization, but I just mean like I started struggling so much more in middle school in so many different ways. My mental health was in such atrocious condition in middle school and early high school. Especially, my mental health was rough. And middle school, if you don't know, for us was 6th grade through 8th grade. So I was 11 to 13 during that period of time. And then high school is 9th to 12th grade, and I didn't start taking antidepressants until I want to say sophomore year, which is 10th grade of high school. So I had spent 3, 4, 5 years of my life in this constant state of depression and anxiety, and really struggled so heavily. And I don't necessarily need to get into that. I can do a separate episode about that just because I want people to be able to avoid any potential trigger warnings, any potential things that like would trigger them, not like make them angry, but like triggers as in things that will bring up bad memories for them or struggles that they have that they don't need to be reminded of by me, etc., you know. So I might do a separate episode on my struggle with mental health specifically. That could probably be a million episodes, to be honest, but I'll save most of that because I want people to be able to skip the episode if they don't think they can handle like extended talks about mental health and maybe fairly intense talks about mental health. All of that aside, so school was really hard because I was kind of in this state where, one, I was like, why do I need to learn anything? You know, I'm not gonna be alive. I'll leave it there. But also, it's hard to focus on schooling, reach out and ask for help with school. If you, one, feel like you can't reach out for help in any sort of capacity, but two, like, you can't focus on school if you are so depressed. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, of just like, not that I was always thinking about how depressed I was, but just that like sometimes you can't like focus on these things. And it wasn't just like schooling, it was like hobbies too. I for periods of time I wouldn't have many hobbies, or everything would take so much energy and so much effort to do that I just really wouldn't want to do anything. And And I still face that sometimes, but I'm a lot better at managing things and knowing and understanding myself a little bit better, and just knowing what I don't know, just knowing what to do about certain situations, or knowing what can help, or knowing what may be upsetting me, or recognizing a pattern or stuff like that. But yeah, I almost didn't pass high school because I failed all of my classes for such a extended period of time. I was retaking classes over and over and over again. I took Algebra 1 freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, and finally passed it in my senior year, doing it a completely different way, doing it online on my laptop, but like at the school with an instructor in a room with like very little students. It was so nice. It was like this alternative school thing that a teacher at our school had started, and it was so lovely. It saved my life, and it saved so many kids. Like, not all of us were at risk of graduation, and all of us were at risk of not graduating, I mean. And I want to say, like, the majority of us, maybe even all of us, ended up graduating and ended up succeeding. I can't say for sure all of us, because I don't quite know. But there were some kids in there who I was like, I've never seen this person do any work in any class ever. Like, I don't know if they're going to graduate. And then on the graduation date, they walked in their graduation gown and graduated. And that teacher, shout out to her, saved us in so many different ways, and so many students benefited from that. Yeah, I know for a fact that I wouldn't have graduated high school. So many of these other kids wouldn't have graduated high school if it weren't for her. But I knew in my junior year of high school where I wanted to go to college. And I knew it was this art and design school. I knew it in my bones, you know, I felt it so strongly. Like, it just felt like the place was calling to me, and it was like the first college that I ever got excited about, because I was really not into the idea of going to college. I didn't want to. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to go into. I didn't know what I wanted to study, and I just didn't think I was going to go to college. I didn't want to go to college. I was very much like, that's not for me. Until one day in my career center class, which was visual and graphic communications, which was like graphic design and a ton of other crap that we did. We did photography in my senior year and stuff as well, which was incredible. But in that class, there was someone from the school who came in and gave a presentation, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I filled my name on the little paper to get more information, got more information, told my mom about it, was like, this is, like, I've never wanted to go to college before, now I do, like, this is what I want, this is where I want to be, this is where I need to go. And, like, my stepdad as well was like, that's kind of far away, are you, like, he was, like, talking to my mom about trying to get me to stay somewhere closer. And I just continued to be like, this is it for me. Like, this is the only thing that I felt this passionate about. Like, this is something that I'm going to chase. And even though it didn't work out, I'm glad that I went, and I'm glad that I had that much confidence in myself, even though it all, you know, went to crap a little bit. Um, I'm glad that I had that confidence in myself, because if I didn't, my parents likely would have really highly encouraged me to stay close by, and not go that far. But they could tell that I was very excited and that I was very intense about it. So yeah, in my junior year, I already knew, and in my senior year, I applied. I sent in my portfolio. I didn't quite have the GPA that I needed to get in at the time. So I had to get a letter of reference from someone saying why I should be allowed to go to this school even though I don't quite have the GPA. So I asked the teacher that I had a deep connection with, and I asked the instructor of the alternative school that I went to. That was great. And I got accepted, which is insane because I've looked at my portfolio since then. I've changed it since then, but like, I know I was a high school student, but my portfolio, I don't know. Like, I'm proud of the projects that I did, but I'm surprised that they were good enough to get me into a design college. Like, that is crazy to me, but perhaps they saw some sort of potential more than they saw the amount of skill that I already had. So that is something to note. Anyways, but yeah, in the middle of senior year, I want to say, I was accepted. So the rest of my senior year, all I had to do was, I passed all my classes about halfway through the year. So the rest of my year was just going to my career center class. And then like waiting, you know? And I graduated high school on my 18th birthday, June 3rd, 2023. And then in August, I moved to Ohio to go to college. Immediately in college, things started going crazy a little bit. My mom and my stepdad helped me move there. We brought a bunch of my stuff in. We got organized. I ended up having my own room. It was awesome. Everything was great. We were there for like a week. Perfectly fine. I met some amazing people. Some of my closest friends that I had there, I met. We had like a pizza party, for all of the people who lived in like these apartments that the school set up a pizza party for us, so we could all meet each other and like make new friends as we're all like starting college together. And then the second week I was there was actually the week that classes started. And the first couple of days went well, and then the middle of the week, at the end of August 2023, as I said, my stepdad passed away. And I don't know if you've experienced that, but it's, or anything quite like that, I don't know, but it's such a interesting thing to me. and so difficult to explain, like, the feelings and everything like that. Um, but yeah, like, the end of August, he passed away. And I will eventually get more into that because we have, like, the trial for what happened and everything like that, like, court stuff. I will eventually get into that once everything is cooled down because that is a whole mess. But I have a video on my channel about the experience of finding out that he had passed away and what that those days kind of looked like for me, so you can go check that out. It is on my channel. So I won't go into that here. But it was a really interesting and difficult tone to start college off on. Because I was immediately driving back home to go to, like, the viewing and a little, like, family, like, service get together thing that we did, and my mom was living alone at the time, so my siblings and I were, like, trying to figure out what to do because we didn't want her to be alone. So my brother came and stayed with her, then my sister came and stayed with her, and then I, like, came home on the weekends sometimes, which was about 2.5 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes, which isn't that bad, to be completely honest with you, but it was a lot of driving back and forth and everything like that. And it was just obviously it was a really difficult time for all of us. And I wasn't the person going through the most, you know? I was just so worried about my mom all of the time. That is where, like, the main part of my struggles came in at that point. Because of course it's hard to lose someone, but I was so concerned for my mom and how she was doing and everything like that. So yeah, I ended up coming home a lot, and then eventually my mom and I went on a little trip to Tennessee, to kind of get her mind off of things and to just take a little break for a little bit. It was a really nice trip. We had a really good time. It was kind of bittersweet going on, like, a fairly large, well, not like a large trip, it was like a weekend trip, but going on a trip just the two of us did feel kind of odd. But yeah, to the actual, like, school aspect of it all, my school was really supportive, but I didn't tell them as much as I should have. Like, they knew about the situation, but I never was like, I'm really depressed right now, I'm missing a lot of classes, I'm so sorry, I will do my best, like, if I need to take these classes again, I can, or just whatever. Like, there is more that I could have done that I did not do. I was tired, I was depressed, I was, like, out of it. I didn't want to leave my bed, I didn't want to do anything. I did start seeing a therapist who worked with the school and saw a lot of people, and she was really cool. I really vibed with her. I didn't get to see her that much before I ended up leaving, but she was really cool, and it was really nice to be able to have someone to talk to, at the very least. And I was meeting with a student academic counselor weekly because I was struggling in my classes. So I met with her weekly to talk about my current grades and what I have missing and what I need to work on and everything like that. And it was kind of embarrassing. But I also appreciated it. It's a weird situation. It's a weird mixture of feelings. It's like I really appreciate that someone was trying to look out for me and was trying to make sure that I could succeed in my classes. And I am really thankful for her, and for all of that. But it was a little embarrassing to have just gone into college and already be struggling so much that I need to meet with a counselor every week to talk about my grades, that I need to meet with a therapist every week. And it wasn't just about school stuff, obviously. I know that because there was a ton going on. I was living on my own quote, with 2 new people who I had never met before. So I was living without my parents, without my siblings, almost 3 hours away, in a new state, in a new city, driving around, trying to find things by myself, and I had 7 classes, y'all, because apparently that's what being a full-time student looks like to them. I don't know, don't ask me. 7 classes for college at once feels insane. But somehow other people were handling it. I don't know, and whatever. And I shouldn't have. Oh, leaves keep falling on the car. That's the noise that I'm hearing. And I shouldn't have dove headfirst into it like that. I should have been like, let's start part-time. But my logic of it was, and it made sense to me, and it still does, of like, we're paying for this apartment and all of these classes. Like, if I do part-time, I'm gonna be here longer. We're gonna be like run up the wazoo in the amount of money that this apartment is going to cost us. So it just made more sense to be like, if I moved here and I'm living here and I'm living in an apartment near the campus, I should be a full-time student because that's what makes sense. And I guess it's important to note that just because something makes sense or makes sense for other people doesn't mean it's the best option for you. But I didn't have anyone who was like, do you think that's a bad idea? Or like anyone who was kind of, more, I don't know, people were letting me make my own decisions, which I very much appreciate, but at the same time, it's like, I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but like, I didn't know. There's a guy riding his bike that wouldn't. By the way, I'm recording this in my mom's car. Last one I filmed in my car, I think. They're only being filmed in cars because my mom is currently at home. So no, the last one I filmed was in my house. It was while my mom was gone. Okay. But yeah, I'm filming in the car. Anyways, but yeah, I'm glad that I got to make my own decisions, make my own mistakes, but I kind of wish that someone was like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. I feel like you're making a mistake. Um, or, and it would have pissed me off, but if my parents were like, no, go to a college closer, it would have pissed me off. I would have been so mad, and it would have, given me a little bit of resentment towards them for the time, but I feel like it would have been a safer bet. But, like, who knows? Who knows? It might just not have been a good time for me, anyways. Um, but yeah, like, the whole first college experience that I had, I'm really glad that I went because I met amazing people and I have amazing memories and I did some really cool stuff. And I did learn some during my brief time there. But I am currently in a community college in Indiana. And I'm actually currently in online classes at that community college. And it is going fairly well so far. Right now, I'm kind of in a rut because I have very, very low motivation currently, and I'm trying to get it to go back up, but I can't force it, or it's gonna end up worse. I don't really know how to get my motivation to stick around or to come back. I actually have no idea. And I wish that was something that I had knowledge of. But like my current college experience is going fairly well. I've met a few people that I think are really cool. I went on a field trip that was very educational and very enlightening, and overall a positive experience, and I'm signed up for another few activities at the school or with the school that I'm very excited about. So all in all, my current college experience is off to a better start, to say the least. But yeah, like I have been struggling academically for a long time. And I think it goes hand in hand with the other struggles that I've had. And I think that I'm fairly intelligent. I don't think that I'm dumb. I think that I have knowledge and that I can retain knowledge and that I can become more knowledgeable. I think I have those capabilities. I just think that I was always super in my head, super anxious, couldn't focus on the work because I was so conscious of what I was doing and of myself. And I just felt like I was never taught or instructed in a way that was truly like the best way for me. And that is the thing about schooling, especially public schooling. There's not a ton that you can do about that. I didn't have a 504 or an IEP or anything like that. I currently believe I have a 504 because I have accommodations in college for my anxiety. I also do have physical conditions, like I have like health conditions. But I don't think those are listed on my accommodations. I believe it was just done for anxiety. That's the main thing that I have diagnosed. I have some other conditions diagnosed, but that was like the main thing, and it's what I have accommodations for. So this is my first time that I've ever had that kind of support. built into my schooling experience, because even though I knew something was going on in high school as well, I just didn't have a 504 plan or an IEP or anything like that, and didn't know how to go about getting one, and didn't know what that would entail for me. Also, to people on the outside, I may seem like I'm perfectly fine, quote, perfectly fine, that I'm healthy and able-bodied and like fully capable of everything, and I appreciate that, but it's okay for me to have these struggles, and it is okay for me to be disabled even if I don't, quote, look like it. And I'm not going to share all of my diagnoses, but I just want to clarify to anyone who may know me, what I do have is qualified as a disability. I want to make that completely clear, because I don't want people being like accusing me of making up the fact that I'm disabled, because I'm not making that up or anything like that. I want that to be clear. But anyways, I think that'll be the end of it today. I've been yapping for 40 minutes already, which is crazy. And I had a couple of topics written out, or like ideas, and I didn't even have time to cover them all, but I did figure that this topic would be pretty extensive for me, just because I had a lot to say. But I want to finish off this with saying that, like, if you're a parent and your kids seem to be struggling in school, please, like, try to do something. Don't, like, be mean to them and belittle them about their grades and make them feel like they need to be perfect. No, that's not the answer. But I would talk to counselors, or talk to them and see what the root problem is. If they just don't like the subject, or if they don't understand, or if they feel that their teacher isn't explaining it well, or if they feel lost in class, or whatever the thing may be. A lot of people have these struggles. In fact, most people have some sort of that kind of struggle at some point. And it's completely valid, and I think that it's so important to just let people, kids, adolescents, teens, know that they have support, and know that they have people who want the best for them, but who genuinely want the best for them, not just people who say that they want the best for them, or people who are like, I'm doing this for you, but like people who genuinely have their best interests at heart. Make sure there's a support system in their life, or in your life. Like, having support or advocating for yourself are some of the most, like, important things, at least in my opinion, regarding a lot of this. I have learned a little bit. I'm not great at it. I've been learning the skill of advocating for myself recently, because I was the one who reached out about accommodations at my school, and I was the one who set up my appointment to get them, and I'm the one who emailed my teachers making sure that they were, aware of it, and I am the one who has to ask for extensions if I need it, or ask for things from my teachers if I need it. So self-advocacy is really an important skill as well. Being clear and direct and like advocating for yourself, but I guess not being a jerk about it, obviously. That's really important. And also, grades aren't the most important thing in the world, but diplomas are pretty important to have. So if you can at least pass and graduate, then I think you should be proud of yourself. Not that I don't think you should be proud of yourself if you left school or if you didn't graduate, etc. I think everyone's path is their own, and I have no right to comment on that. But unfortunately, to get a lot of jobs, you do need to have a diploma. So if you can stick it out and do as well as you can just to get that diploma, that'll save you a lot of stress in trying to find a career. So, just my little bits of advice. Keep in mind, I am 19 and I don't know what I'm doing. But I love you all. I've been talking for a while. This video will be up soon. I think I'm going to do this once a week, maybe less. I might eventually run out of stuff to talk about. Who knows? All that being said, thank you so much for watching Chocolate Dinosaur Podcast. My name is Alex. I love you all, and I will see you soon. Bye!